Yes, you can see this massive tornado traveling through Little Rock, Arkansas. There's been mixed reports on how many people are injured, but the scope of the damage is easy to see when you get to take a look at it. That damage stretched for miles. The tornado even crossed the highway. Homes and businesses are destroyed. The National Weather Service said the tornado was catastrophic and they had to hide for their own lives. Thank you for being here at 7. I'm Dawn G. It is an alert day here in Wave Country. Governor Andy Beshear has even called a state of emergency for the day. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Harnett joining us here tonight. This is the same storm headed this way for us. It may not mean what it has meant already for those areas, but we need to pay attention.
Well, anytime we have the risk, the alert day, the warnings ahead of time, it's a good day to pay attention. Cloudy skies now. The only thing we've had are a few passing showers and thunderstorms. Tonight, that will change. I do expect a period of strong storms. Could be severe, especially areas along and west of 65 between that 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. time frame. We've really not adjusted that timing a whole lot, so that's the window of concern. The main concern is with the wind. We see straight line winds, and because of the shear in the atmosphere, the possibility of the tornadoes. So we'll say damaging wind and isolated tornado threat. The storms will be weakening as they pass by us. The question is, how fast will they weaken? And that's yet to be seen. They're still very strong at this point. They're still feeding off the heating of the day. Once the sun sets and give that a couple of hours, things will start to gradually ease. Again, between 9 and 2, that's the time frame. The wind's the main threat. Could see some small hail, minor flooding, but these storms are moving pretty fast. So flooding is not at the top of the list by any means. A few showers are passing by across Kentucky now. Indiana, you had your round just a few moments ago, meaning within the last hour. Thunderstorms that are severe with a number of tornado and severe thunderstorm warnings closer to the low pressure moving out of Iowa into northern Illinois. Those will take aim on Chicago. St. Louis seeing some showers and storms. Our question is how this will develop from, well, St. Louis on down to the Boot Hill of Missouri. That's what will eventually move into our area. So we'll be watching that development closely. Down across parts of Arkansas, not far from Little Rock, we've had storms with tornado warnings. Just north of Memphis, tornado warnings. You can see the high-risk zones. Those are rare to have one, much less two. And we are in the enhanced risk area here. Areas to our north and out to our west, the moderate risk. We'll see our storm chances increase mid to late evening, fading away overnight. We'll be here to track it. I'm going to give you more updates when we come back. We've got another alert day coming up next week, Dawn. We'll have much more on that and the whole 10-day earliest alert in just a few minutes.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. Two major bills are becoming law in Kentucky. Soon medical marijuana and sports wagering will be legal in the Commonwealth. As Wave News reporter Sean Bowdy shows us, some people have been fighting for more than a decade to make these issues law.
Eric Crawford and his wife Michelle have fought in Frankfort for over a decade for the legalization of medical marijuana. In 1994, he broke his neck in an accident. He's wheelchair bound, still dealing with physical pain. Soon, he'll see his actions rewarded.
The little children are going to get relief, and people that's going to have safe access. I hope it works well.
Both bills signed by the governor on Friday have potential to make massive impact on Kentucky's revenue and Kentucky's citizens. So many of them rejoicing today for the state. It's a showcase of bipartisanship.
Governor Beshear signed two bills into law in Frankfort Friday. House Bill 551 will allow legal sports wagering to take place in Kentucky. Senate Bill 47, medical marijuana. Sports betting could ultimately include online betting or on-site at certain venues. Senate Bill 47 will allow people with certain medical conditions to purchase marijuana. People like Air Force veteran Jared Bonville.
People need to know, though, like there is a cost of war.
After being medically discharged, Bonville tried all legal medications for his mental and physical pain. The opioids just led to more problems.
When he was drinking and on all his pills, we as a couple almost did not survive.
Carrying something through an emotional day for the Bonville family. Together, they've survived, and hopefully now others can too.
On behalf of all veterans in Kentucky, thank you.
In Frankfort, Sean Bowdy, Wave News.
Both bills need some legislative work done before they can go into full effect. Medical marijuana is scheduled to take effect in January 2025. Sports wagering could realistically go into effect by the end of this year or start 2024. This new medical marijuana law won't fully take effect, as we said, until 2025. It also differs from the program Governor Andy Beshear created by executive order earlier this year. Wade News reporter Mark Stevens explains some of the big differences in this new law.
Not feasible for folks to be driving hours outside the state to access their medicine. Don't do that for any other type of medication.
Darby Cook owns the Kentucky Cannabis Clinic, which connects patients to state licensed doctors who will recommend marijuana. The number of qualifying medical conditions in the law is fewer than Beshear's executive order, but Cook says it's a good start.
The bill does include chronic pain, and that's usually the most common reason why folks are trying to use medical marijuana.
The state now needs to implement the law. Key sponsor Jason Nemes says that's why the law doesn't start until 2025.
So we got to put the regulations in place, and then the businesses will apply. Everyone will get licensed. We have to get product that's grown in Kentucky, in Kentucky soil.
Qualified patients will be allowed to have a 30-day supply in their home and will be allowed to carry a 10-day supply with them. Rules around licenses will need to be hashed out over the next year and a half.
Make sure we get it right, but make sure we get it done.
The law does not limit the number of cultivators and dispensaries, but we don't know yet how difficult the state will make it for businesses to get those licenses. Cook says Kentucky has a lot of examples to look at.
Kentucky is lucky in one regard where they've got to watch, 30 plus other states implement, either medical marijuana or adult use marijuana programs. So they have a lot of experience and a lot of evidence that they can draw upon.
Kentucky will not allow medical marijuana patients to smoke the drug. Lawmakers believe that was a step too close to allowing recreational use. The family of a teen accidentally shot by an LMPD officer in West Louisville last month has filed a lawsuit. It names Officer Brendan Kaiser, LMPD and Metro government. The shooting happened February 20th at an abandoned garage on 38th Street. A group of teens ran out of that garage, and that's when LMPD says Kaiser's gun accidentally fired. The video that you see here is from the incident on February 20th, where LMPD says Officer Kaiser's accidentally discharged that gun. Now, the lawsuit has 2 counts against Kaiser for excessive force in violation of the Fourth Amendment and also battery. And then 3 counts against LMPD for creating an alleged custom of tolerance to excessive force against citizens, inadequate training or supervision for officers, and ratification for the excessive use of force based on the findings in the DOJ report. Back in February, LMPD held a press conference on the incident and talked about the work they do to help officers after these moments.
We understand this is a dangerous job. That's why it's very special people that volunteer to do this job to protect the community under these conditions. These types of situations for officers are extremely stressful, and it's a hard time for officers to go through those types of things. So that's part of why we're doing things like standing up a complete officer wellness unit, so we can provide that holistic support to officers when they've been involved in these types of things.
The suit also says that the juveniles were running away from the officers and posed no threat, calling Kaiser's actions unjustified, unreasonable, intentional, and reckless. We reached out to LMPD for a comment, and they responded with this quote: LMPD cannot comment on pending litigation. Well, ahead, COVID is going to be around forever, and for some, the side effects are sticking around for a long time as well. Well, look at what you can do if you are left with brain fog from COVID. Well, if you are a fan of podcasts, we have got you covered. Wave has features from Myra Ansari, our troubleshooters, and I've got a podcast too. You can find it where you find your podcast.